I'm Alex Cardinale, and you're watching a Alex Cardinale Entertainment production right here on the Alex Cardinale Entertainment YouTube channel. Enjoy the show.
Several murder cases often occur in several parts of the world. It is very difficult to reveal this case. An investigation needs to be carried out by the police. The investigation will be carried out by police officers. The evidence will be analyzed by a team from the forensic laboratory. And the results of the examination from the forensic laboratory will be given to detectives to be developed into information. The results of the analysis will be used to create an investigation report anatomic of crime. The report will be adjusted according to witness statements and indicative evidence.
Unlock the mysteries with Detective Alex Cardinale. Hey fellow detectives and crime junkies, welcome to On the Case with Detective Alex Cardinale. Get ready to dive into a world of crime and mystery. Join Detective Cardinale as he explores crimes of all kinds, from rapes and murders to robberies and more. Ever wonder what crimes took place 10 to 20 years ago? What can we learn from these past enigmas? Tune in right now to find out. Why watch? Engaging analysis. Detective Cardinale brings his expert insights and captivating storytelling to unravel some of the most perplexing cases. Educational insights. Learn about investigative techniques and the intricacies of solving crimes. Historical perspective. Discover how past crimes have shaped current law enforcement practices. Remember, keeping our communities safe starts with you. If you see something suspicious, don't hesitate to report it by calling 911. Remember, if you see something, say something. Let's welcome our host from Port St. Lucie, Florida, Detective Alex Cardinale, as he takes you on a thrilling journey into the heart of the criminal world. Don't miss out on this captivating experience. Tune in now and be part of the adventure.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to an all-new episode of On the Case. I'm your host, Detective Alex Cardinale. Tonight, we are traveling back to the 1950s, 1960s, and 1970s. And during those three eras, there were a couple of killers by the name of Ed. Tonight on the Case with Detective Alex Cardinale, I'm going to talk to you about the Killer Eds, the sick and perverted serial killers, the sick and perverted murderers, Ed Gein and Edmund Kemper. Now, if you've been following crime stories for some time, you may already know about Ed Gein and Edmund Kemper because their crimes were so devastating that a lot of shows and movies were based on their crimes. Now, some of the stuff I'm going to mention is gory and can be disgusting to some viewers, so viewer discretion is definitely advised for this episode. But Edmund Kemper and Ed Gein are definitely two of the sickest individuals I've ever talked about here on the Case with Detective Alex Cardinale. Now, truthfully and honestly, I had no idea who Ed Gein or Edmund Kemper were until my brother watched a documentary on Netflix about Ed Gein and Edmund Kemper, and my curiosity sparked, and I figured, you know what? why don't I watch it? And I watched it and I was intrigued. And here we are today with this episode on Killer Eds, the case of Ed Gein and Edmund Kemper. As always, I thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy this murder mystery and this episode of On the Case with Detective Alex Cardinale. As always, please post your thoughts on these crimes in the chat, and make sure to like and subscribe for more awesome crime videos. Alright, let's go ahead and get this episode started, and we're going to start by talking about Ed Gein. Let's talk about Ed Gein up first. Alright, Ed Gein was known as the Butcher of Plainfield. He was an American murderer and body snatcher whose despicable crimes in rural Wisconsin stunned the nation in the late 1950s. Ed Gein's activities were discovered on November 16, 1957, when police searched his farmhouse while investigating the disappearance of local hardware store owner Bernice Warden. They found her decapitated body hanging in his shed. The search also revealed grave robbings. Gein admitted to exhuming at least 15 bodies of middle-aged women from local cemeteries. That's right, Ed Gein admitted to exhuming at least 15 bodies of middle-aged women. Grisly artifacts. He used human skin and bones to create household items, including lampshades, chair coverings, bowls, and masks. Ugh, that is just disgusting. Human skin and bones. Woman suit. His most infamous creation was a bodysuit made of human skin, which he reportedly wore to become his deceased mother. Confirmed murders. Ed Gein confessed to killing two women, Mary Hogan in 1954 and Bernice Warden in 1957. Background and psychological state. Upbringing. Raised by a frantically religious and domineering mother, Augustina Gein, who instilled in him a deep fear of woman and sex. Isolation. After his mother died in 1945, Ed Gein lived alone on the family farm, keeping her room as a meticulously preserved shrine. Legal outcome. Initially deemed unfit for trial, he was later diagnosed with schizophrenia and found not guilty by reason of insanity. He died of cancer in 1984 at the Mendota Mental Health Institute. Ed Gein's story served as the primary inspiration for several iconic fictional villains. Ed Gein served as the inspiration for Norman Bates from Psycho, Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Buffalo Bill, The Silence of the Lambs. Ed Gein has recently been the focus of major productions. Netflix Monster, The Ed Gein Story from 2025. The third installment of Ryan Murphy's anthology series stars Charlie Hunnam as Ed Gein. Docuseries Psycho, The Lost Tapes of Ed Gein, MGM Plus, features never before heard audio recordings of the killer. Now, when police searched Ed Gein's Plainfield, Wisconsin farmhouse in November of 1957, they discovered a house of horrors containing numerous household items and furniture crafted from the remains of at least 15 exhumed bodies. Exhumed bodies means bodies that were taken from their casket or from their grave. That is absolutely disgusting and sickening that somebody would exhume dead bodies from their resting place and then create furniture and household items with their bones and their skin. That is just gross. His disgusting creations included furniture, chairs upholstered with human skin and human skulls mounted on bedposts. He also reportedly used a human leg bone to prop up a wobbly table. Kitchenware, bowls, and soup cups fashioned from inverted human skulls. Lighting and fixtures, lampshades made from the skin of human faces, and a windshade drawstring featuring a pair of human lips. That is disgusting. Storage and decor, a wastebasket and several baskets made of human skin. He also displayed masks made from the tan skin of female heads on his walls. Accessories and clothing, a belt made from human nipples, a memory vest or corset made from a female torso, and leggings and socks made from human skin. Miscellaneous, a cross made from human vertebrae and various organs stored in jars or plastic bags throughout the house. Ed Gein's primary motivation for these items was a delusional desire to reconstruct the image of his deceased mother and create a woman suit he could wear to literally inhabit her persona. Talk about being a mother's boy. You love your mother so much that when she dies, you go and steal and exhume dead people's bodies, dead ladies' bodies, and use their body parts to create a suit so that you can relive being your mother. That is absolutely disgusting. Now, contrary to popular belief, Ed Gein did not exhume his mother's body after her death in 1945. Now, while he spent years robbing local graves to recreate her, his biological mother remained buried in her original plot. Instead, Ed Gein engaged in the following behaviors to preserve her memory and attempt to become her. The Shrine Room. Following Augusta Gein's funeral, Ed sealed off her upstairs bedroom and a downstairs parlor. He kept these rooms in immaculate condition, refusing to touch or move any of her belongings. While the rest of the farmhouse descended into filth and clutter, these shrine rooms remained perfectly preserved, exactly as they were when she died. Attempted exhumation. According to local reports and biographies, Ed Gein likely tried to dig up his mother on several occasions but failed. Her coffin had been placed in a concrete vault, which he was unable to penetrate with his hand tools. Frustrated, he began exhuming the bodies of other middle-aged women from the Plainfield Cemetery who resembled her, often choosing graves that formed a semicircle around hers. The skin suit ritual. Because he could not retrieve his actual mother, Ed Gein used the skin and body parts of exhumed corpses to create a suit of human skin. His goal was to crawl into her skin. He reportedly wore the skin leggings, a tanned female torso vest, and face masks so he could physically embody his mother. Perform resurrection rituals. He told psychiatrists he believed he could raise her from the dead through his willpower. And that is some disgusting information to get us started on Ed Gein. I can't believe this man was sick. He really loved his mom. He really was a mother's boy. And when she died, he was devastated. So he went and exhumed women's bodies and used their skin and bones to recreate a woman so that he can show her how much he loved her. That is absolutely disgusting and despicable. Ed Gein is one sick, perverse mother effer, if you ask me. Well, coming up next here on the Case, the Killer Eds, find out how Ed Gein could have inspired other serial killers and other murderers with his sick, diabolical actions. But first, I invite you to my flagship program this Saturday with Alex Cardinale. Get ready for an action-packed Saturday on the next Saturday with Alex Cardinale. Live this Saturday, February 21st, 2026, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Learn about the honey badger as the animal of the world. Aqua Alex will educate you on the Lima shovelnose catfish and the marble de Chara catfish. Plus, learn ways to use your tax return. Learn why it's important to support small businesses. What will the featured Seagrass Farms fish be? Plus, play a double round of Two Truths and a Lie on Instagram and TikTok. All that and more, including a WrestleMania rewind as we get ready for WrestleMania 42. Let's look back at Shawn Michaels versus Chris Jericho from WrestleMania 19. All that and more, live this Saturday, February 21st at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific, right here on Alex Cardinale Entertainment.
Double Saturday with Alex Cardinale Weekend Fun. Get ready, WWE fans. We're thrilled to announce an epic Double Saturday with Alex Cardinale Weekend. Join us for an action-packed adventure on February 28th and March 1st, 2026. Event details. Saturday, February 28th, 2026 at 4 p.m. Eastern/12 noon PT. Elimination Saturday with Alex Cardinale kicks off the weekend. Dive deep into the 2026 WWE Elimination Chamber event preview. Relive iconic Elimination Chamber matches from the past. Play Two Truths and a Lie, Elimination Chamber style. And so much more. Sunday, March 1st, 2026 at 10 p.m. Eastern/7 p.m. Pacific. Sunday with Alex Cardinale wraps up the weekend. Get a comprehensive recap of the 2026 WWE Elimination Chamber. Discover a brand new segment featuring a koi from Next Day Koi. Plus, additional surprises await. Don't miss out. All the excitement is happening on the Alex Cardinale Entertainment YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and mark your calendars. You won't want to miss a minute of the fun. Join Alex Cardinale for an unforgettable weekend of wrestling excitement and entertainment. See you there.
Alright, now let's talk about how Ed Gein might have inspired other serial killers and other murderers. Now, while no real-life serial killer has explicitly credited Ed Gein for inspiring their crimes, his case redefined criminal psychology and pioneered a template for later killers. Real-life killers with parallels. Psychologists and investigators have noted striking behavioral similarities in several high-profile cases. Jeffrey Dahmer, often cited as the closest modern reflection of Ed Gein, Jeffrey Dahmer also kept body parts as trophies, preserved skulls and organs, and planned to build a shrine from human remains. The only difference between Jeffrey Dahmer and Ed Gein is that Ed Gein did it with women and Jeffrey Dahmer did it with males. Ed Kemper, who we're going to talk about in a few moments. Like Gein, Kemper's crimes were fueled by a toxic and overbearing relationship with his mother, who he eventually murdered and mutilated. Robert Berdulia, known as the Butcher of Kansas City, he kept detailed notes and human remains in his home, referencing a fascination with notorious killers like Ed Gein in his journals. So, in a future episode of On the Case, we're going to talk about Robert Berdella. And then there is Gary Hendick. His House of Horrors in Philadelphia involved torturing victims and post-mortem discretion that investigators compared to Gein's methods. Fictional characters and fictional killers Ed Gein directly inspired. Ed Gein's impact is most visible in the horror genre, where his specific obsessions birthed some of cinema's most famous villains. Norman Bates from Psycho, inspired by Ed Gein's intense attachment to his mother and the preservation of her room as a shrine. Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, based on Ed Gein's use of human skin for masks and household furniture. Buffalo Bill, The Silence of the Lambs, derived from Ed Gein's desire to skin his victims to create a woman suit. And that is how Ed Gein might have inspired other killers. And now, let me share my thoughts on Ed Gein and his sick murders and his sick crimes. I think it's absolutely disgusting that Ed Gein exhumed all those poor dead women, stole their body parts, stole their skin and bones, and tried to recreate in his mind his mother. It is absolutely disgusting. This is one of the sickest individuals that I have ever come across in my world of studying crimes. It is disgusting. And a lot of people are fascinated by Ed Gein because back then in the 1950s, this sort of stuff is unheard of. But back in the 1950s, we didn't have technology. So a lot of people were bored because there wasn't a lot to do back then. So murders were more prolific back in the 1950s, as well as sick stuff like this. But Ed Gein is definitely the definition of insane, mental, unstable, and disgusting. I cannot fathom how he was so obsessed with dead bodies, exhuming them, and then trying to recreate his own mother. He loved his mother so much that when she passed, he couldn't handle it, and he tried to revive her by stealing dead bodies, dead woman bodies from the cemetery, and trying to recreate them. I think it's just disgusting, and I really have no words for it other than it's sick and diabolical. It absolutely is disgusting. But he was found mentally insane, and he spent the rest of his life in a mental health facility, and he died in the 80s of cancer. So that is the Ed Gein story. If you think Ed Gein is sick and disgusting, wait until you hear about our next killer Ed, Edmund Kemper. Coming up next here on the Case Killer Eds, we're going to talk about Edmund Kemper, who was the opposite of love for his mother. He hated his mother. He actually killed his mother and did a disgusting, despicable act to his own mother after he killed her. Find out about Edmund Kemper coming up next. But first, I want to educate you on my website, Up on the screen right now is a QR code. If you scan that QR code, it's going to take you to my website where you can purchase merchandise for my various programs and support my YouTube channel. Here is some of the amazing merchandise that you can purchase. All right, from one sick Ed to the next. Now we talk about Edmund Kemper. Now, Edmund Kemper, better known as the Co-Ed Killer, is an American serial killer who murdered 10 people, including his grandparents and his mother. He is often cited in criminology for his towering physical presence, extreme intelligence, and eerie willingness to analyze his own psychopathy. Statue, standing at 6'9" and weighing over 250 pounds, his size was physically overwhelming to his victims. Intelligence, he possessed a near genius IQ of 145. So this was one smart cookie, one smart criminal, one smart serial killer. He was known for being articulate, polite, and cooperative. He often befriended police officers at a local bar while he was an active killer. So while he was out there killing, he was becoming friends with police officers. Talk about someone that is smart. Timeline of crimes. Grandparents, he killed them. He killed his grandparents in 1964. At age 15, Edmund Kemper killed his grandparents just to see what it felt like. He spent 5 years in a mental institution before being released as rehabilitated. The Co-Ed Murders, 1972 to 1973. He murdered 6 female college students in the Santa Cruz area, typically picking them up as hitchhikers. He often decapitated and dismembered his victims, engaging in post-mortem sexual acts. That is disgusting. 1973, the matricide. His final crimes were the brutal murder of his mother, Clarnell Strandberg, and her best friend. He famously buried one victim's head in his mother's garden facing her window because she always wanted people to look up to her. That is disgusting. So he killed his mother's best friend and then decapitated her and buried the victim's head in his mother's garden because she always wanted people to look up at her. That is disgusting. Now, Edmund Kemper turned himself in by calling the police from a phone booth in Colorado, though they initially thought his confession was a prank. Involvement with the FBI. In prison, he worked extensively with the FBI's Behavioral Science Unit, helping agents develop the early foundations of criminal profiling. Audiobooks. He has spent thousands of hours narrating audiobooks for the blind, including Star Wars and Dune. Now, 77 years old, Edmund Kemper is incarcerated at the California Medical Facility in Vacaville. He was denied parole, most recently in July of 2024, and he will not be eligible again until 2031, where hopefully Mr. Edmund Kemper will be deceased. Pop culture impact. Edmund Kemper's articulate interviews provided the basis for Netflix Mindhunter, portrayed by Cameron Britton, whose performance earned an Emmy nomination. Buffalo Bill, The Silence of the Lambs, partially inspired by Kemper's childhood habit of killing his grandparents. Coming up next here on the Case, the Killer Eds. We're going to find out what Edmund Kemper did to his own mother and why he hated his mother and what despicable act Edmund Kemper did after his mother was dead. But first, I want to invite you to our awesome celebrations coming up in March. In March, my YouTube channel turns 12, and we've got a big celebration coming your way, and you are invited.
12 years flashing, 12 years strong. Aqua Alex, we sing along. Hey! Hey! Hit that play, see the bubbles rise. New core flash, like fireworks under glass. Tropical colors rush across the screen. Every tank you show feels like a dream. 12 years of Aqua Alex, we've been swimming right here with you. From the first little fish to a whole world of blue. New car, new fish, new stories. Every upload opens the door. Happy 12 on YouTube. Oh, Alex, here's the 12 years more.
Get ready for the second annual South Florida Saturday with Alex Cardinale. Join us for an unforgettable evening as we wrap up the celebratory week with the biggest Saturday episode yet. Airing live on March 28th, 2026 at 10 p.m. Eastern Time / 7 p.m. Pacific Time. This is the collab you've been waiting for. Special guest, Paul Cafaro. Just 24 hours after headlining Night 2 of the 12th YouTube Splash, the incredible Paul Cafaro is teaming up with Aqua Alex Cardinale. Together, they'll take you on a guided tour of Paul's ranch, showcasing his amazing aquariums and unique animals, including playful otters and exotic birds. Dive into South Florida fun, but that's not all. Aqua Alex Cardinale will also explore the St. Lucie County Aquarium and dive into all the fun and facts that South Florida has to offer. It's a celebration of aquatic life and regional wonders you won't want to miss. Save the date, March 28th, 2026, time 10 p.m. Eastern / 7 p.m. Pacific where Alex Cardinale Entertainment YouTube channel. Mark your calendars, spread the word, and get ready to conclude your week in style with us. We can't wait to see you there.
All right, so now the question becomes, why did Edmund Kemper kill his mother? And what did he do to his mother? He did what to his mother? Let's find out right now. Edmund Kemper's decision to kill his mother, Clarnell Strandberg, in 1973 was the culmination of years of psychological trauma, resentment, and a desire to end his violent cycle. He gave several overlapping reasons for the murder. Retaliation for abuse. Kemper described his mother as a tyrant and an alcoholic who physically and emotionally abused him through his childhood. He claimed she belittled him. She frequently mocked his massive height and told him no woman would ever love him, isolated him, At age 10, she banished him to live in the basement because she feared he was a sexual threat to his sisters. Emasculated him. She often compared him unfavorably to his father, whom she despised. Ending the practiced killings. Edmund Kemper eventually concluded that his previous 6 murders of young female college students, the co-eds, were merely surrogate acts for the murder he truly wanted to commit, his mother's. Proxy victims. He killed women who attended university where his mother worked, symbolically destroying what she loved. The Catarist. In early 1973, he decided to stop practicing on others and confront the source of his rage. He stated, "She had to die, and I had to die, or other girls were going to die." Avoiding her suffering. Another reason he killed his mother, in a chilling bit of logic, Kemper also told investigators he killed her because he felt he was about to be caught for the co-ed murders. He claimed he didn't want her to suffer the shame and embarrassment of seeing him arrested. Now, here's the part where it comes. He did what to his mother after killing her? Edmund Kemper's rage continued after her death. On the morning of April 20th, 1973, he killed his mother as she slept with a claw hammer, then decapitated her and violated her remains. So, first, as his mother is sleeping, he kills her by attacking her with a claw hammer. He then proceeds to decapitate his own mother. And then Edmund Kemper does the unimaginable. He decapitates his mother and sticks his penis in her mouth. That is absolutely vile. That is despicable. And it is just absolutely disgusting and grotesque. That is probably the sickest thing I've ever seen a criminal do and heard a criminal do. It is just beyond words, if you ask me. It is just disgusting. But it gets worse from that. He threw darts at her head and put her larynx down the garbage disposal to silence her bitching once and for all. Wow, it's no surprise that Edmund Kemper really did hate his mother. I guess he hated her after all, decapitating her, sticking his genitalia in her mouth, and then throwing her larynx down the garbage disposal to stop her from bitching. In November of 1973, Edmund Kemper was sentenced to 8 concurrent life sentences for 8 counts of first-degree murder. After unsuccessfully pleading not guilty by reason of insanity, a jury found Edmund Kemper legally sane and guilty on all counts of murder on November 8th, 1973. During the trial, Edmund Kemper requested the death penalty, famously asking for death by torture. Because capital punishment was temporarily suspended in California at the time of his sentencing, the judge was unable to grant his request. The terms: he received the maximum possible penalty remaining, life imprisonment with the possibility of parole for each count served concurrently. Edmund Kemper remains incarcerated at the California Medical Facility in Vacaville. Parole history: he has been denied parole multiple times. More recently, in July of 2024, he did not attend his 2024 hearing as he reportedly suffers from poor health following a stroke. His next eligibility for parole is in 2031, where hopefully he will not be alive to see that. And that is the co-ed killer, Edmund Kemper. What a sick, disgusting freak. He even looks like a freak. So, here are my thoughts on Edmund Kemper. What a sick, 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 twisted, perverse individual. I really don't even know what to say other than he is absolutely disgusting. It's one thing to hate your mother, it's another to kill her, decapitate her, and stick your genitalia in her mouth. It is just disgusting. Anyway, that is tonight's episode of On the Case with me, Detective Alex Cardinale. Probably the most sickest two criminals I'll ever talk about here On the Case. I hope you enjoyed this episode of On the Case. Crime junkies, be sure to like this episode and share it with your friends. And be sure to subscribe for more awesome crime videos because I've got some amazing episodes coming your way. So make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more crime videos. All right. On our next episode of On the Case, we're going to talk about the Times Square Ripper, Richard Cunningham. So get ready to learn about the Times Square Ripper, Richard Cunningham, on our next episode of On the Case. Thank you all for watching. Like, share, and subscribe for more crime videos. I'm Detective Alex Cardinale saying stay safe, everyone. And if you see a crime, say something. If you see something, say something. Never be afraid to call 911. I'll see you next time when I'm on the case. Thank you for watching this episode of the Alex Cardinale Entertainment. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did enjoy the show, please smash that like button and consider subscribing to my YouTube channel so you'll be notified when I upload a new video or I go live next. And also, share this video on social media so other people can be entertained from the Alex Cardinale Entertainment YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and have a great rest of your day, and I will see you on the next video.